Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Sakyamuni. The 200 SD verses from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. Happily do we live, we who have no impediments. Feeders of joy shall we be, even as the gods of the radiant realm. Beloved disciples, and all beings with a sincere heart seeking the path of awakening. Today we return together to the gentle teachings of the Blessed One, the Buddha Sakyamuni. Within the sacred words of the Dhammapada, every verse is like a lamp shining through the darkness of ignorance. Every teaching is like a cool stream flowing through the dry land of suffering. The Buddha did not teach us to chase after temporary happiness that depends upon conditions. He guided us toward a happiness that arises from inner peace. A happiness that is not controlled by gain and loss, praise and criticism, pleasure and pain. A happiness that grows from a mind released from attachment. The verse we contemplate today speaks of a life without inner obstacles. It does not mean that a person has no difficulties in the world. It does not mean that the body will never experience sickness, that relationships will never change, or that circumstances will always be favorable. The Buddha understood deeply the nature of human life. The changing world continues to move according to causes and conditions. Seasons come and go. Flowers bloom and wither. Birth and death continue to appear. The wise person does not seek freedom by demanding that the world become different. The wise person seeks freedom by transforming the mind that looks upon the world. When the mind is burdened by greed, anger, jealousy, fear, and attachment, even a beautiful place can become a prison. When the mind is calm, compassionate, and awakened, even ordinary moments can become a source of peace. Therefore, the Buddha teaches that the greatest happiness is not found outside. It is discovered within the purified heart. In the ancient time, when the Buddha was dwelling among his disciples, there was a story connected with this teaching. The Blessed One was staying at the monastery of Anathapindika in the Jita Grove. At that time, among the disciples of the Buddha was a noble lay follower named Visakha. She was a woman of great faith, wisdom, generosity, and compassion. Her heart was always devoted to supporting the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Visakha had great wealth, but she understood that wealth itself could not bring lasting peace. She used her resources to create wholesome conditions for others. She offered food, medicine, robes, and shelter to the monastic community. Her generosity came not from seeking praise, but from understanding the value of planting seeds of goodness. One day, Visakha experienced a painful loss. Someone dear to her passed away. Because she deeply loved that person, sorrow arose in her heart. She felt the weight of impermanence and the sadness that comes when something precious disappears. With a grieving heart, she went before the Buddha seeking guidance. The Buddha looked upon her with great compassion. He did not reject her sorrow. He did not tell her that love was meaningless. Instead, he gently showed her the nature of attachment and the causes of suffering. The Buddha explained that wherever there is deep attachment, there can also arise sorrow. When we cling to what must change, the heart experiences pain. When we understand impermanence with wisdom, the heart learns acceptance and peace. The Buddha asked Visakha how many people in the city she cared about. She replied that she cared for many people. The Buddha then asked if she would suffer whenever each of those people experienced difficulty or death. Visakha realized that if attachment continued without wisdom, her suffering would increase endlessly. The Buddha helped her see that love guided by wisdom becomes compassion, while love mixed with attachment becomes a source of suffering. Through listening to the Dharma, Visakha's heart became calmer. She understood that all conditioned things arise and pass away. The people we love, the possessions we gather, and the experiences we enjoy are all changing according to causes and conditions. True love does not hold tightly. True love wishes for the happiness and liberation of all beings. The Buddha's teaching transformed her grief into understanding. Her heart became lighter because she saw the truth clearly. She no longer depended on changing conditions to find peace. She discovered a happiness that came from wisdom. This is the meaning of living without impediments. The greatest obstacles are not always outside of us. The deepest obstacles are the afflictions within the mind. A person may have many possessions and still feel poor because the heart is filled with desire. A person may have a high position and still feel insecure because the mind is filled with fear. A person may live in comfort and still suffer because the heart cannot let go. The Buddha teaches us to look deeply into our own mind. We must recognize the thoughts that create suffering. When anger appears, we learn to observe it without becoming anger. When sadness appears, we learn to understand it without being controlled by sadness. When desire appears, we learn to see its nature without becoming a servant of desire. The awakened ones are not free because they have escaped from the world. They are free because the world no longer controls their hearts. They walk among people with kindness. They experience the changing nature of life with wisdom. They accept what comes and release what passes. The happiness spoken of by the Buddha is the joy of a peaceful mind. It is the joy of forgiveness. It is the joy of kindness. It is the joy that appears when the heart no longer carries unnecessary burdens. Many people spend their entire lives searching for happiness. They search through wealth, recognition, entertainment, and external achievements. Yet after gaining these things, they often discover that the heart still feels empty. This is because external things can provide comfort but cannot create complete liberation. The Buddha points us toward another path. The path of inner cultivation. The path of morality, concentration, and wisdom. When we practice generosity, the heart becomes open. When we practice compassion, the heart becomes gentle. When we practice mindfulness, the heart becomes clear. When wisdom arises, the heart becomes free. A peaceful person is like a lotus flower growing in muddy water. The flower does not complain about the mud. It uses the mud as the condition for growth. In the same way, a practitioner does not need a perfect world in order to cultivate peace. Difficulties become opportunities to practice patience. Challenges become opportunities to develop wisdom. Suffering becomes a teacher, showing us the importance of liberation. The Buddha compared the happiness of liberated beings to the joy of the radiant realms because such happiness is bright, pure, and free from the heavy darkness of defilements. The joy of the awakened heart is not excitement that rises and falls. It is a quiet happiness that remains steady. It is like a clear sky beyond the passing clouds. It is like a calm lake reflecting the light of the moon. When the mind is free from hatred, every person becomes a friend. When the mind is free from greed, every moment becomes enough. When the mind is free from ignorance, every experience becomes a lesson in awakening. Dear disciples, the teaching of this verse invites us to examine our own lives. What burdens are we carrying today? What thoughts create suffering in our hearts? What attachments prevent us from experiencing peace? Sometimes we carry anger from many years ago. We continue to hold pain created by old memories. Yet the person who hurt us may have already changed, and the moment that caused suffering has already disappeared. By holding on to anger, we continue to drink the poison of suffering. The Buddha teaches forgiveness because forgiveness frees the heart. Sometimes we worry about the future. We imagine countless difficulties that may never happen. Because the mind travels into uncertain possibilities, we lose the peace available in the present moment. The Buddha teaches mindfulness because the present moment is the place where wisdom can arise. Sometimes we regret the past. We wish we could return and change what has already happened. But the past is like water flowing down the river. It cannot return. The wise person learns from the past, but does not become imprisoned by it. The practice of the Dharma is learning how to live fully in this moment with awareness and compassion. When we breathe mindfully, we return to ourselves. When we walk mindfully, we return to peace. When we speak with kindness, we create harmony. When we act with compassion, we create a beautiful world around us. The Buddha did not promise a life without difficulties. He offered a path beyond suffering. He did not remove all storms from the sky. He taught us how to find the peaceful space within ourselves even when storms appear. This is the precious meaning of the Dhammapada verse. The person who has removed inner obstacles experiences a happiness beyond ordinary understanding. Such a person does not depend on circumstances for joy. The source of happiness has been awakened within. May all beings learn to cultivate this peaceful heart. May we recognize the causes of suffering and gradually release them. May we develop patience when facing difficulties. May we develop compassion toward ourselves and others. May we walk gently on the path shown by the Buddha. The light of the Dharma is always present. When the heart opens, we can receive this light. When wisdom grows, we can understand the true nature of life. When compassion expands, we can share peace with the world. The journey toward awakening begins with a single mindful step, a single moment of kindness, a single thought of letting go. Through continuous practice, the heart becomes lighter. Through continuous understanding, the mind becomes freer. Through continuous compassion, we approach the happiness described by the Blessed One. When the Buddha taught the way to true happiness, he always pointed beings back to the nature of the mind. The world outside is constantly changing according to conditions. The body changes from youth to old age. Feelings change from happiness to sadness. Relationships change according to circumstances. Wealth changes through many causes. Nothing that is formed remains forever. The person who understands this truth does not become careless or cold. Instead, that person learns to cherish every moment with wisdom and gratitude. The teaching of the Blessed One is not a teaching of rejection toward life. It is a teaching of understanding life deeply. The Buddha did not ask us to abandon kindness, family, responsibility, or compassion. He taught us to remove the attachment that causes suffering while preserving the love that brings peace. When the heart is filled with attachment, even love can become a source of fear. A person may love someone deeply but become afraid of losing that person. A person may treasure possessions but become anxious because they may disappear. A person may desire success but suffer because failure is possible. The Buddha reveals that the problem is not love, care, or effort. The problem is the grasping mind that believes everything should remain according to our wishes. The awakened heart loves without possession. It gives without expecting repayment. It helps without seeking recognition. It accepts change without losing peace. This is the freedom spoken of in the Dhammapada. The story connected with this verse reminds us that even those who have wealth and respect must still face the truth of impermanence. Visakha, although surrounded by comfort and honor, experienced the same sorrow that all beings experience. Her wisdom did not come because she avoided suffering. Her wisdom came because she looked deeply into suffering and understood its cause. The Buddha's compassion was like a great ocean. He did not simply comfort people with temporary words. He offered the medicine of truth. He showed beings how to remove the root of pain. Just as a skilled physician does not only treat the symptoms of illness but searches for the cause. The Buddha showed the causes of suffering and the path leading beyond suffering. The mind that is not trained easily becomes a prisoner of its own thoughts. A single unpleasant word can create anger that lasts for many years. A single disappointment can create sadness that covers many beautiful moments. A single desire can create endless searching. Therefore, the Buddha taught mindfulness. Mindfulness is the light that allows us to see the movement of the mind clearly. When anger appears, mindfulness recognizes anger. It does not immediately follow anger. When greed appears, mindfulness recognizes greed. It does not immediately obey greed. When fear appears, mindfulness recognizes fear. It does not allow fear to become the ruler of the heart. A person who can observe the mind begins to understand that thoughts are temporary visitors. They arise and pass away. They are not the true owner of our being. When we stop identifying completely with every thought and emotion, we discover a deeper space of peace. The Buddha compared the untrained mind to a wild animal. A wild animal may run wherever it wishes, creating danger and confusion. But when trained with patience, it becomes gentle and useful. The human mind is similar. Without practice, it follows every desire and every emotion. With practice, it becomes a source of wisdom and compassion. The path of Dharma is a gradual training. A person does not become awakened in one moment without effort. Just as a farmer prepares the soil, plants seeds, waters them, and waits patiently for growth, the practitioner cultivates wholesome qualities day by day. Generosity is one of the first seeds. When we give with a pure heart, we loosen the chains of selfishness. A person who constantly thinks only of receiving becomes narrow and burdened. A person who learns to give becomes spacious and joyful. Patience is another precious seed. Life will not always follow our expectations. People will not always speak as we wish. Conditions will not always appear as we hope. Patience does not mean weakness. Patience is the strength to remain peaceful when facing difficulty. Compassion is another seed of liberation. When we see that all beings wish for happiness and wish to avoid suffering, the heart naturally becomes softer. We no longer see others only through judgment. We begin to see their struggles, their fears, and their hopes. Wisdom is the light that guides all practices. Without wisdom, generosity can become attachment. Without wisdom, patience can become suppression. Without wisdom, compassion can become exhaustion. Wisdom allows all virtues to become balanced and pure. The Buddha taught that the person who removes inner obstacles lives with a happiness similar to the radiant beings. This does not mean escaping to another world. It means discovering a quality of mind that is bright and peaceful. The radiant realm symbolizes a state of purity where darkness cannot remain. Every person has the potential for this inner brightness. The Buddha nature, the capacity for awakening, is present as the possibility within every being. The difference between suffering and liberation is the direction in which the mind travels. A mind following ignorance creates suffering. A mind guided by wisdom creates freedom. A mind holding anger creates darkness. A mind practicing forgiveness creates light. A mind controlled by desire creates endless hunger. A mind practicing contentment discovers abundance. The Buddha's teaching encourages us to return to simplicity. Many people believe happiness comes from having more possessions, more achievements, more recognition. But the Buddha reveals that happiness often comes from needing less. A heart free from unnecessary desires is naturally peaceful. Contentment does not mean refusing growth. It means growing without greed. It means working sincerely without being controlled by craving. It means appreciating what is present while continuing to cultivate goodness. A person who has inner peace can enjoy simple things. The sound of birds in the morning, the kindness of a friend, a peaceful breath, a moment of silence, a meal shared with compassion. These ordinary moments become precious because the mind is no longer constantly searching elsewhere. The Buddha teaches that the greatest treasure is a peaceful mind. Gold and jewels can be lost. Status can disappear. Physical beauty changes. But wisdom and compassion become qualities that illuminate the entire life. When we practice the Dharma, we are not only changing ourselves. Our peaceful actions influence those around us. A calm person brings calmness to a family. A compassionate person creates harmony in a community. A wise person helps others see clearly. Therefore, the cultivation of one heart can benefit many beings. The Buddha's disciples practiced not only for their own freedom, but also for the welfare of all sentient beings. The verse reminds us that true happiness comes when the burdens created by the mind are removed. Those burdens are resentment, jealousy, pride, selfishness, and ignorance. They are like heavy stones carried on a long journey. When we release them, we discover that the path becomes easier and the heart becomes lighter. Many people ask where peace can be found. They search in distant places, believing that another environment will solve their suffering. But wherever the untrained mind goes, suffering follows. Wherever the awakened mind goes, peace appears. A peaceful person in a simple place can experience great joy. A restless person in a luxurious place can experience great suffering. The difference is not only the outside world. The difference is the condition of the heart. The Buddha's message is an invitation to awaken. It is an invitation to see clearly. It is an invitation to return home to the present moment. When we wake up in the morning, we can begin with gratitude. When we meet others, we can offer kindness. When difficulties arise, we can practice patience. When mistakes occur, we can learn with humility. When success appears, we can remain humble. Every moment is an opportunity for practice. Every breath is an opportunity for awareness. Every encounter is an opportunity for compassion. The person who lives in this way gradually experiences the happiness described by the Buddha. The mind becomes less troubled. The heart becomes more open. The life becomes a path of peace. The radiant joy of awakened beings is not created by possessing the world. It is created by understanding the world. It is not created by controlling others. It is created by mastering oneself. It is not created by avoiding change. It is created by embracing change with wisdom. May we continue to walk the path of the Buddha with sincere hearts. May we transform suffering into wisdom. May we transform difficulties into opportunities for growth. May we transform ordinary moments into moments of awakening. The Dharma is like a gentle rain falling upon the earth. A seed that receives this rain grows according to its own conditions. In the same way, each person receives the teachings and cultivates awakening according to sincere practice. May the peaceful light of the Buddha's wisdom shine within our hearts. May all beings gradually remove the obstacles of the mind and discover the happiness that is pure, steady, and free.